Good night, everything, guys. Shadow Eater, one angry pagan. Right. This one's going to be more philosophy based, okay? If you've been watching my channel, if you've watched all the videos on my channel, you will understand the way I think, the way I describe the way I think, is that of because I couldn't find a way to describe what I am, like the way I just didn't have the words. I call myself an evolutionist. I did a bit, I've done reading on it and stuff, and I get I get it, all right. But what I mean, I think, is actually called evolutionary epistemology. So I would be an evolutionary epistemologist in my philosophy. So again, like I've described before, like with the way I think and the way I view almost everything to do, everything around us in an evolutionary sense. So, in just a way as biological evolution branches out and comes to dead ends, or it can form together and something new, or it can die off and come back as re-emergent evolution. I was just missing the right word, right? And so, yeah, evolutionary epistemology. Now, what I'm going to do is I've just brought up the Wikipedia page just to simplify things for other people. I would probably like to have chats on this kind of subject, with other people if other people are interested. I'm very, because this is kind of how I think. So I'm just going to read out the Wikipedia. I'm shamelessly going to just read out the Wikipedia article on this, and I can see how it kind of matches up to how I think. And maybe you guys can do the same thing. So before I do, please, I'll put a link to this in the description. Please like, subscribe, and with this kind of subject, please comment. If you have something viable to comment, please, I want a conversation on this subject. Anyway, so evolutionary epistemology refers to three distinct topics. 1, the biological evolution of cognitive mechanisms in animals and humans. 2, a theory that knowledge itself evolves by natural selection. And 3, the study, and I going into this assuming people know what natural selection is, all right? And 3, the study of the historical discovery of new abstract entities such as abstract number or abstract value that necessarily precede the individual acquisition and usage of such abstractions. As a branch of inquiry in epistemology, evolutionary epistemology lies at the crossroads of philosophy and evolutionary biology. Again, I want people to understand where I'm coming from with my videos, in the way I form my thoughts, in the way I think in general about most things in life. In this, I think, is, at least in one way or another, this is what I've been fucking. I don't know why it's taking me so long either. Like, really, I should have caught. I should have caught on to this a lot earlier, but Anyway, so the first part, cognition in biological evolution. Evolutionary epistemology can refer to a branch of inquiry in epistemology that applies the concepts of biological evolution to the growth of animal and human cognition. It argues that the mind is in part genetically determined and that its structure and function reflect adaptation. a non-teleological process of interaction between the organism and its environment. Teleology is, in biology, is the use of language, is the use of the language of goal directedness in accounts of evolutionary adaptation, which some biologists and philosophers of science find problematic. So, the term teleonomy has also been proposed, but yeah. But this is a non-teleological process of interaction between the organism and its environment, a cognitive trait tending to increase inclusive fitness in a given population should therefore grow more common over time, and a trait tending to prevent its carriers from passing on their genes should show up less and less frequently, which I think, I mean, I think there is evidence for that. There's definite evidence for that. I'm not sure that's exactly what I was thinking, but that again is just the first meaning of what this comes on. Anyway, the second part, growth of knowledge, which I think is more along what what I was thinking. Anyway, evolutionary epistemology can also refer to a theory that applies the concepts of biological evolution to the growth of human knowledge, and argues that units of knowledge themselves, particularly scientific theories, evolve according to selection. In this case, a theory, like the germ theory of disease, becomes more or less credible according to changes in the body of knowledge surrounding it, which makes sense. Anyway, one of the hallmarks of evolutionary epistemology is the notion that empirical testing alone does not justify the pragmatic value of scientific theories, but rather that social and methodological processes select those theories with the closest fit to a given problem. The mere fact that a theory has survived the most rigorous empirical tests available does not, in the calculus of probability, predict its ability to survive future testing. Karl Popper used Newtonian physics as an example of a body of theories so thoroughly confirmed by testing as to be considered unassailable, but which were nevertheless overturned by Einstein's insights into the nature of space-time. For the evolutionary epistemologist, all theories are true only provisionally, and regardless of the degree of empirical testing that they have survived. So there's a part of me there's part of me that's like, a fact is a fact. What changes is what we know about that fact. I think that comes under this, but I might be wrong. Anyway, the third part, evolutionary epistemology can also refer to the opposite of ontogenetic epistemology, namely the phylogenetic epistemology, as the historical discovery and reification of abstractions that necessarily precedes the learning of such abstractions by individuals. Piaget dismissed this possibility, stating the fundamental hypothesis of genetic epistemology is that there is a parallelism between the progress made in the logical and rational organization of knowledge and corresponding formative psychological processes. Well, now, if that is our hypothesis, what will be our field of study? Of course, it will be most fruitful, most obvious field of study that would be reconstituting human history, the history of human thinking in the prehistoric man. Unfortunately, we are not very well informed about the psychology of Neanderthal man or the psychology of Homo simiensis of Teilhard de Chardin. So, since this field of biogenesis is not available to us, we shall do as biologists do and turn to ontogenesis. Nothing could be more accessible to study than ontogenesis of these notions. There are children all around us, so basically looking at the future generation. Piaget was mistaken in so quickly dismissing the study of phylogenetic epistemology, as there is much historical data available about the origins and evolution of various notational systems that reify different kinds of abstract entity. So, to me, that's talking about culture and how humans, it's not just how we biologically evolve, it's how we socially and culturally evolve. Popper gave its first comprehensive treatment in his 1970 article Sketch of an Evolutionary Sketch of an Evolutionary Epistemology, after Donald T. Campbell had coined the phrase in a letter to Popper in 1963. Campbell wrote on Evolutionary Epistemology in 1974. Piaget alluded to it in 1974 and described the concept as one of the 5 possible theories in the origins of intelligence in children from 1936. So it says see also, and again I'm reading this out purely from the wiki. Let me know if you want me to delve further into one of this, further into this. But it says see also genetic epistemology, the study of the origins of knowledge itself. Memetics, study of replicating units of culture. Evolutionary psychology, branch of psychology. So memetics is probably something I'm going to be doing more into. The study of self-replicating units of culture. Evolutionary psychology, a branch of psychology. Philosophy of biology, subfield of philosophy of science. This is probably university level stuff that, like, I'm not even in, college, but fuck it. Most of my knowledge has been gained throughout my life with outside the actual established education system. It's ridiculous. Like, I think I would probably benefit by going to university, and I do want to go to university. It's having the money to fucking do so. You've also got Gerhard Vollmer, a German physicist and philosopher born in 1943. So not a Nazi because he was born in 1943. Konrad Lorenz, Austrian zoologist who lived from 1903 to 1989, behind the mirror search for natural history of knowledge, also known as Diarrhexit. Sorry, my German isn't great. So Diarrhexit des Spiegels, I think. Versus einer naturgesisch menschlichen. And German speakers can fucking beat me up in the comments if all you want. I'm sorry. Erkennens is the last. 1933 philosophy books by Konrad. Philosophy book, but a 1933 philosophy book by Konrad Lorenz. And then there's Rupert Radl, another Austrian zoologist. Donald T. Campbell, who was spoken about earlier, the American social scientist. Multiple discovery, the hypothesis about scientific discoveries and inventions. Universal Darwinism, application of Darwinian theory to other fields. So universal, like, yeah, I'm not gonna make this a full massive thing. I just wanted to go through just this bit here. I think I'm gonna be doing more research into this. Again, if anyone watching knows more about this and can help me in this area, because this sounds very similar to the way I think. I just haven't got the terminology because I didn't do the classical education on this. So, or at least outside, outside of secondary school anyway. But this is along the lines of the way I think. You know, societies and cultures evolve and die off. According to material circumstances, and I think each of these parts ring true. I have a fair bit that rings true to the way I think. So again, I'll put the link to this article, to this Wikipedia article in the chat, in the description. I sometimes feel like I'm misunderstood in the way that I think. When I say I'm a non-absolutist in my philosophy, this is kind of how I mean it, in a way. Like, again, like, I'm still, I in no way am professing myself to, you know, I don't actually, I have expertise in areas such as paleontology. I know much in this area, but I don't know everything. I'm still learning even stuff to do with paleontology, because paleontology is learning new stuff every year, every decade. So, the way we think about this stuff itself evolves. Are you guys kind of seeing where I'm getting with this now? Like, I just want people to be able to understand my videos that little bit better. So if you understand the way evolution works, you'll understand how I view stuff like politics, or political theory, the philosophical evolution. The way people think has the way that people think has evolved over time. That's how I tend to view stuff, because of my initial childhood fascination with paleontology. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm. It's bloody warm today, and I just, I don't know why it took me so long to get around to this point. If it's because I didn't have the fundamentals, there were some of the fundamentals I was missing, which is highly likely. But to me, this way of thinking is it's very useful. I'm not saying that it's necessarily an unassailable position, but I think this definitely describe like each of the three parts in this, like, definitely describes, at least in part, how I tend to think about different things around us. Which, hopefully, if people can understand how I think about things, they can then they can adapt to that themselves. I have said many times, I'm an open book. You ask me questions, I can answer. It can lead to trouble. It's led to trouble sometimes, but Anyway, again, I hope you guys. I hope this makes a bit more sense for some of you. Let me know again if you know more about this. I would, and better good sources to about this particular subject that I can sink my teeth into, or what teeth I have left. Please leave it in the comments. I'm always wanting to learn more. I'm not arrogant enough to think that I know more than everyone else. There is always more to learn. The first point of wisdom that anyone should learn is that you will never know everything. It's one of the few absolutes. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. This with all the politics and with all the with the general election going on and stuff, I thought this video was a little bit of a break from that from that kind of talk, almost. Yeah. So yeah, this has been Shadow Eater on Angry Pagan, looking into philosophy of evolution. Evolutionary epistemology is the words I was looking for. Blessed Thursday, guys. God the word to you, and my shield at your backs. Have a good one, guys.